Stimulus checks worth up to $500 have actually been confirmed by the president. Billions of dollars are actually being allocated toward a new round of stimulus payments. According to state officials, employees who served on the front lines during this crisis are being rewarded with stimulus checks in the state of Georgia. The city of Augusta plans to compensate anyone who worked in jobs with a high risk during the times. The amount of money you'll be eligible for is determined by the number of hours you worked and the employment type of work that you worked in. Full-time city employees, for example, will receive a $500 incentive, while part-time employees will receive only $250. If you worked in public safety, dispatch, custodial, or garbage collection during these times, you may be eligible for an extra $500 stimulus check. Part-time employees in the above sectors will receive $500, while full-time employees will receive $1,000. The state's economy rebounded strongly last year from a brief recession in 2020, thanks to a surge from stimulus funds. The state finished the fiscal year of 2021 with a $3.7 billion surplus, with some of the money going to the government's saving account. A Republican has glossed over the reality that the surplus has created mostly on federal help, went for everything from extended unemployment benefits and child tax credits. Governor Kemp proposed $415 million in grants for a crisis stimulus check to companies early this week. There could also be benefits for other employees in the city, as even non-essential workers may be given an extra day of administrative leave instead. A top Biden administration official indicated that the ongoing student loan payment pause is going to end, and payments will resume, but he did not confirm a specific timeline, leaving borrowers guessing about when and whether to plan for repayment. For over 26 months, payments on most federal student loans have been paused, and interest has been set to zero. Collection efforts against defaulted federal student loan borrowers have also been suspended. That relief was originally provided. Democratic Governor Tony Evans, who had proposed a tax cut primarily benefiting the low and middle income, criticized the GOP plan, and a large percentage point drop comes at the highest rate. It's paid by married couples who earn more than $405,000. And that rate would actually drop from 7.6 to 6.5%, and even the income tax cut will be paid by tapping the state's projected $7 billion surplus. Republicans also devoted the $622 million to keep property taxes in check. Even the Republican representative Terry Katzma said the cuts were designed to keep Wisconsin competitive with neighboring states with lower rates like Illinois. But Democrats objected, saying the tax plan would make the state less competitive when combined with GOP budget decisions to end funding and even childcare programs. Even the Minnesota legislature, and the $3 billion tax bill was one of the most biggest landmark pieces of legislation that the Democrats could ever do. And within this is a 2.5 million people of Minnesota distributing tax credits to impoverished families to pay for childcare and other necessities. Within the bill, there's also $1 billion in tax increases, not including the taxes tucked into other budget bills, like the Metro Area Sales Tax for housing and transportation. And when the governor signed this bill into law, he commanded there's going to be a lot of people to get stimulus checks. But single taxpayers who get up to $75,000 will receive a $250 check. Married couples filing jointly will receive $250, $520 as well. And families of children with these income thresholds will get an extra $260 per child. One thing is for certain, folks, Joe Biden can send out more stimulus checks in 2023, but he needs to be sure to send it out quick, or else things will get worse for the American people. Folks, SNAP payments are being delayed in select states across the country. Millions. Because as of January, well, the average regular gas in the United States price is pretty small. The amount is cheaper than most of the prices that we saw last year. Average price for gas is already on January 13th is nearly the same as the previous week's average, but 4 cents higher than average from 1 month ago. Because according to data from the U.S. Energy Information Administration, well, the price drop is starkest when you look at the current average compared with peak prices, about a 34% decline since June. When you look back on further and compare current cost with gas price at the same time last year, it's now about 2 cents cheaper. Spot shortages can easily drive up the gas prices locally because of refinery or pipeline shutdowns or just blending issues. But big nationwide swings in the price of gas are almost due to the price of crude oil. And new data from the Energy Information Administration shows that the cost of raw crude oil typically represents more than half of the cost of a gallon of gas. Refining and distribution and tax account for the remainder. Over time, the price of crude oil has just significantly increased with supply and demand, many factors affecting both, but recession, crisis, and higher prices tend to tamp down demand. Gas prices in the pump rarely affect the market day conditions. Instead, they represent costs incurred per week, folks. So what does this mean? Because gas prices are smaller, does it mean that we'll become getting stimulus checks anytime soon? Well, here's my answer to that. First of all, drivers in Hawaii, California, Washington, Nevada, and Alaska are seeing the highest gas prices, and food prices have also increased 0.2%. It marked a slowdown relative to the increases that have been seen for most of the year. Compared with a year ago, it was 11.8%. Versus 6.5% overall for all inflation items in the index. In an interview with CNBC, the CEO of Kroger said the company expects grocery inflation to remain relatively high this year, but to ease as the year progresses. A good growing More relief is on the way. A one-time direct deposit worth as much as $250 are set to go out to millions of Americans, and thanks to a bill that was approved today. This legislation will also help cut poverty rates. The Biden administration has proposed a brand new rule that helps students with crippling debt. And more relief has been approved on a state level. Democrats reached a deal on a $3 billion plan to send one-time tax rebate checks of $260 to 2.5 million Minnesota residents. It creates a new tax credit that they hope will slash childhood poverty rates and exempt many seniors from taxes on their Social Security income. Local governments will see a boost in aid to keep property taxes down and help cover the public safety cost. Not everyone will see a tax cut under the bill, and some corporations and wealthier Minnesota residents will pay more. The deal presented late Wednesday night comes after months of negotiations among Democrats on how much to cut taxes and who should benefit the most. With a historic $17.5 billion budget at the proposal, the Republicans have been critical of the plan and also pushing for more of the surplus to be devoted to tax cuts. The final agreement on the one-time tax rebate is smaller than $1,000 for individuals and $2,000 for married couples. But under this finalized deal, Minnesota people who make up to $75,000 a year can get a one-time refundable tax credit, and people will get a lot of money and help from this department. Other credits that could result in lowering your tax burden or even a larger refund include the Earned Income, the Tax Credit, and the Child Independent Care Credit. The latter was made refundable in 2021, meaning up to $8,000 could get reimbursed on expected season for farmers around the world will contribute to easing inflation pressures because eggs have been one of the most categories that have seen the most inflation, with prices up 11% in December, and even in November things were high too. So recently the House did pass a bill to seek lower gas prices by cracking down on alleged price gouging by the energy companies. This Consumer Fuel Price Gouging Prevention Act grants the president authority to issue emergency proclamations and make it illegal to increase gas, energy prices in excessive and exploitative ways. Yeah, people are exploiting people for stimulus checks, but that's definitely not cool. Instead, it is very bad and wrong what President Biden has done. Folks, here's what I'm talking about. The Biden administration and Democrats in Texas are the nation's top energy producing states. They were also aware of this bill. In the days leading up to a bill to support this vote, well, it was unclear whether the bill even has enough support to pass. Moderate Democrats were frustrated with the bill. Democrats in Texas see the nation's top energy producing state wary of the bill, and they fear legislation could be targeting the industry and pretty much unfairly without proof of actual price gouging. Gas tax holiday, for